Hey guys, and welcome to another season of the Ask People podcast. I'm your host, Savia Rocks, and in this season, we uncover the remarkable power of genuine compassion and insightful vision. This season, we're here to show the world that we, as individuals, are the brand, regardless of misconceptions. Join us as we go deep into the inspiring journeys of our guests, each one a testament to the impact and influence of kindness and creativity. Don't just take my word for it. Hear their stories, feel their passion, and discover the transformative potential within us all. So stay tuned as we shine a light on the truths that connects us and inspires change.
Open your mind to the way, the conscious way. My name's Sifu Boggie. Sifu means guide, muse, somebody who guides you on your way. Boggie means the balance between the chaos and the calmness, and if you follow my way, you'll get plenty of that. So come and listen to the Us People podcast with Savia Rocks. Love Chin Chin, Boggie out.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Ask People podcast. I'm your host, Savia Rocks, and today I have someone with an awesome personality. It shined through even before we began. This is Sifu Boggie, and I'm so happy to have him on the show. He's a mentor, a self-healing practitioner. He does what I do. I like that. He has over 40 years of wisdom and experience. He's a barefoot doctor, teacher of Eastern Reiki, which we are going to explain the difference between Chinese Reiki and also reflexology. Sifu, I want to thank you so much for taking your time to come on the Ask People podcast. How are you?
I am well. I'll actually start with a little, not quite a twist as such, but this, like anybody
Yes.
who's religious, well, this is religion. Well, actually,
Oh.
this comes 10,000 years before most religions. And
Yes.
whether, your dominant hand, whether it's left or right, your dominant hand is your masculine side of you. And whether you're man, woman, banana, or goat, you have a masculine side or masculine quality. Then you have a feminine quality. And then you have a childlike quality. And when we bring these together to the heart, it's combining the masculine side, your action, your doing, with your feminine side, your feeling, your understanding, your nurturing, bringing it together to the heart, which is where the child, the inner child or sacred child is, and it's all about play, and it's all about intuition and aura. So this originally was about bringing everything to one.
Mm-hmm.
And then greeting somebody with an open heart.
See, and that's why I do it every day. That's literally why I do it. So I'm excited now. So my first question for you is, could you tell me about yourself, where you grew up, and how that influenced you to be the person who you are today? He's smiling.
Right. Yes. Well. Right. So there's a lot. So I'm actually adopted, and I'm actually. So I was born in the UK, and I was born in a Whitechapel Hospital, which is for those in London. They know that Whitechapel Hospital is a Cockney. So
Yes.
East End of London, all right, apples and pears, all right, mate, how you doing, geezer? It's all very much that. So I was born in that energy, and I actually spent a lot of time around there as well when I got older. But I'm actually half Irish and half Russian.
Cool.
And then I was adopted. I was adopted into a half Irish family and English. And the Irish and Russian I wouldn't know until much later. But it always led to interesting things. As a kid, I grew up. I grew up in an era where dyslexia wasn't understood or even known.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just weird. I was just known as a weird child who was very, wanting to play and, people feel, you're too nice, you're too loving. And for me, I always thought, what? How can you be too loving? How the frick
Exactly.
can you be
Yes.
too nice? What the puck? I used to be an ice hockey player as well. So I say puck instead of other words.
Oh, you can say what you want
But
on here. It's absolutely fine with me.
it's all good. Well, when I was young, because I when I was young, I didn't swear, but I used to wear a belt that said bollocks. And so whenever I got annoyed with someone, I said, "Read my belt." So you're talking my belt. What? So growing up, I was always a little bit different, always a bit weird, and I got picked on a lot and bullied. And so my father, around about 11, well, almost 12, but 11 years old, took me to the local martial art. And
Yes.
interestingly enough, it wasn't. It was like me. It was not the normal martial art. It wasn't karate. It wasn't taekwondo. It was one called katina, and katina had a set sort of like 24 moves, but it worked on its main premise was meditation and working on what they called energy, which was ki. And I was like a duck to water when it came into that. I loved it, and I went into that, and was learning that, and in that they had belt adjudication. So somebody would come and see what level you're at. Belt adjudicators, and one of the ones that sort of came along was actually he was a Shaolin. So Shaolin is the guys with the orange robes and the shaven head. He was a Shaolin monk, so a Buddhist monk, but he's also a Daoist.
Yes.
Taoism is actually what Star Wars is based on. So George Lucas actually studied Buddhism and Taoism, and the whole philosophy of the Force is actually what we call Qi and the Yin and the Yang. And so I started learning this very young, and one of the first things I was taught was actually how to get hit. So suddenly pain didn't hurt,
Yeah.
and from pain not hurting, I learned that I could, and I loved like comedy, and there was a movie called Roxanne with an actor called Steve Martin, and it's actually based on another movie called Bergerac, and it's about a guy with a very long nose. And in this movie, Roxanne's got a very, very long nose, and normally people take the mickey out of him, and he would beat the crap out of them. And then he falls in love, and this guy takes the mickey out of him. He goes, "No, I'm not going to do what I normally do." This guy just calls him Big Nose. Says, "Is that all you can do? Is that all you can come up with? Here's a dart. Here's a dartboard. Go and throw the dart at the dartboard, and whatever number it lands on, I will come up with 20 something betters than Big Nose." And the guy throws the dart. It's 20. So he has to come up with 20 something betters. And I grew up with that movie, like learning that humour can overcome violence and can overcome, so if you can use humour. And so I learned. So once I learned how to get hit, so it didn't even hurt, there was no fear there.
Yes.
I lost that fear. And then it's like, well, I could fight back, or I can actually use humour. I can use. So I was learning, I learned from a very young age to actually that people use violence because it's a form of communication, and it's they're hiding their own fears or hiding their own insecurities by using using violence. You take away that violence and you make it that, well, hit me, go on then, hit me, give me your best shot. And they go, no, you're supposed to go, ouch, you're supposed to run away, it blows their brain. And then you start taking the mickey out of them as well. It's like, oh, blimey, you're the most dangerous person in the room. Because one of my, I haven't said this often, so one of my favourite, I used to go ice skating. I lived in London, and I used to ice skate in Richmond Ice Rink. And Richmond Ice Rink was a little bit of the hard man place. There was lots of people, if you didn't have a broken nose, there was something wrong with you. You'd never been punched in the face. What's wrong with you, man? And so they like to, so they're a bit tough and a bit strong. And so I had sort of a comeback line to get myself out of certain situations. So I didn't want to fight all the time. I know how to fight, but I didn't want to fight. So I would say, don't mess with an ugly person because they got nothing to lose.
Yes.
Don't mess with a crazy person because they don't care anyway.
That's
so
true.
don't mess with me because I'm bloody both. Normally works.
That makes sense to me.
So
but hold on a second. But hold on. Isn't beauty in the eye of the beholder, though?
Well, 100%, and yeah, and of course there is, and so I used to do close protection. I used to look after people, and some of the most externally beautiful people I knew were some of the most ugliest people on the inside because they'd lost perspective.
Yes,
they'd lost that, the understanding. And one thing I've learned is that the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and if you behold that beauty, you're beautiful yourself. I've known people. There's people I know who you could, if you looked at a picture of them, you'd say, "Oh, they're a bit weird," but their aura, their energy, their soul, if you want to use that word, shines so bright that they're beautiful. And it's like, it's all about perspective. It's all about, but it's just, the whole thing was just literally a way of distracting a person from the reality. It's like keeping them like a red pill from the Matrix because they're all in this thing, or so somebody's like somebody being all hard and it's, go on then, Timmy, go on then. And it's like, it's like, I'll start off with, I slap my own face. And they go, oh, what's going on?
They start running the other way.
And it's like, I don't care. Do you get it? So, but then I could do that. And they go, anyway, so this is how things will be. And that it's all about that. The whole point is that people are so used to the play they're in, they're so used to acting. People, about acting. Everybody acts. Everybody acts in one way or the other. There's very few people that can be honest enough to be that open to let go, and they're the ones that you want to really befriend, or they're the ones that a lot of people want to avoid like the plague, because they're scared of people who are honest, and they're scared of people that are just who they are. Just because even in the spiritual world, there's this thing of, oh no, love and light, but I hate the government, but love and light, and it's like, well, if it's love and light, you should love everything, or but at the same time, it's a case of, as a great Daoist saying is, your goal is to be in oneness and to love, and to be open and to love everything. But if you can't, if something's niggling you or upsetting you, shout, scream, have a temper tantrum, do whatever you need to get that, because tension in the body, or emotional frustration, equals tension in the body. Yes. Tension then builds up and equals illness. Illness eventually will kill you. Don't worry. Don't get upset. Don't get frustrated. That'll kill you. So it's this whole idea of that one leads to another. And, over the years, I've gone into epigenetics, which is all about the way we think and feel affects our physical health. So, it's like, you should be like, relaxed, or, the ways of, like, if you're stressed and overwhelmed, look up. Because when you look up, so the forebrain is what we call them in the East, they call the monkey mind. But we know in psychology and neurolinguistic programming, or NLP, that we have 60 to 90,000 thoughts in our brain every single day. So much freaking space. There's hardly enough space for you in there. So you've got all these thoughts going on in your head. Now, when you're stressed, that becomes overwhelming. But when you look up, you're actually draining the frontal lobe, and you allow that tension to go down the spine and down the body. So looking up, and you know, for a couple of minutes, and let yourself breathe. For the great one is breathing. Let the belly expand. Breathe out. Pull the belly in. It's called belly breathing. And babies do it all the time. You watch a baby, especially, you know, like a newborn baby, the belly expands and then it contracts, and the belly expands and then it contracts. And that's why that's why Buddha had a big belly, because they say he's full of chi. And then he has moobs because they say he's full of love. And he got big earlobes because he's full of wisdom. I'm just thinking the ears, let alone the earlobe. But the whole idea is that when you look up and expanding the belly, you're opening up the diaphragm, you're massaging your internal organs, because the belly, the solar plexus, the plexus of nerves, that's where we store a lot of our tension, a lot of our worries, lots of our frustrations is stored in the belly. The work in that belly allows that to come up, whether it's burping or parping or just through sighing. It's releasing what you no longer need. So looking up, and you can help drain that and clear that out, because you know what happens, especially if you're in the UK. We've got this thing called the stiff upper lip, and we're so like pent up, you know, and even society's like, you know, oh, watch out for this person, watch out for that person, and we've lost. It's interesting.
That's
like
actually true.
Just last week, me and my partner went to Spain, and she, like me, she loves Spain because they still have the siestas. They still, you know, it's still like that family connection. And you have people coming up to you and go, hello, and looking straight into your eyes. And if you're a Brit, you go, oh my God, you know, why are you staring at me? Which is, well, hello, how you doing? And I'm scared to be Jesus out of people. But it's that's my goal, is to scare the bejesus out of you, because, you know, wake you up from the matrix.
Yes, true. I agree with that.
But you know, everything is something, and more than one thing, because the matrix, that word means mother, the mother. So, you know, we see it as the illusion, but it's an illusion that's looking after you to a certain degree. Those, you know, even those 60 to 90,000 thoughts, they look after you to a certain degree. Your fight or flight, you know, is like being scared of certain things. It protects you to a certain degree. You know, it's not a total prison. It protects you to a certain degree. But your job is to go, I'm okay now. I can jump into that void, or I can take a little step into that water and go for a play. You know, it's you know, it's not, there's no problem with being scared, but it's also, it's like learning that's being scared is actually a good thing. That, you know, going out of your comfort zone, going and doing things that scare you a little bit, actually lets you expand.
That's true. I agree with that 100%. It's a bit like I know people talk about Matrix and so on and so forth, and they also talk about Inception, which is another one that they speak about a lot about. And I know, but one question that I do want to ask you, which is actually one of my favorite questions I like asking guests, which I think your answer would be really interesting, is, can you define yourself as a person, but also who do you see when you look in the mirror? But on the flip side of that question, has there ever been a time when you have looked in the mirror and not recognized the person staring back at you? How did you manage to go? I knew he was ready. How did you manage to go from a person that you felt you didn't recognize to becoming a person that you wanted to be and felt that you had a purpose?
You know, so a lot of the time, I'm still that person I don't recognize, but I am the person I wanted to be.
I like
because for me, I've always been fascinated with words, and I've always been fascinated with understanding stuff. But I'm being dyslexic. I'm very good at thinking outside the box and flipping things on their head. And for me, it's always so. So the reason I say that is that a lot of people use it in thinking about part out of this. They say their soul. Well, soul is an interesting word because soul comes from Latin. It's soliol, which means body of breath. So without a body, there is no existence. And it's like, well, actually, your consciousness actually, it was well, Tesla said it first, and then Einstein said it in a slightly different way. Tesla said that he discovered that all energy is conscious, and consciousness and conscious energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transferred or transformed. And Einstein took away the consciousness bit and just said energy. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transferred or transformed. But so for me, and this resonates, this is way before I even delved into the martial art world or the Tai Chi and Qigong world. But for me, I sort of felt this body was like not even a glove, more like a finger puppet. And like the tip of me is in this body, and there's so much more on the outside. And there's a great meditation that I teach about breathing in and letting your energy expand, and breathing out and letting it go brighter. And then breathing in, let your energy expand again and go brighter. And if it goes past your body, then let it and go bigger and bigger and bigger. And there is no limit. It is that in Taoism, the Tao Te Ching, they say the Tao is formless, it's shapeless, and Bruce Lee was said about water. Water is formless and shapeless. It goes into a cup. It becomes a cup. It goes into a teapot. It becomes a teapot. It can go through the smallest of gaps, and enough of it will break a dam. If you want to be anything, be water, my friend. And the actual secret is you are. Consciousness is water. It's actually, you are beyond your body, and the way we sort of know this is that you're not the same person you were when you were 2, and you're not the same person you were when you were 6, and when you were 14, and when you were 20, and when you were 14. And as you progress in this life, this in a linear way, it actually doesn't exist, but as you progress in this life going on, you keep evolving and you keep changing. Well, if you keep changing, that means that you're not one thing. You are multiple things. And in life, we say, I am I am this, I am that. Well, we sort of said, like you sort of said about, what name would I like to be? Well, I'll go by anything. I have so many freaking names. What are you? Yes, you called? Sorry, hello. Because we are so much more than we are right now. And we're so much more than we were, and then we're so much more than we will be. That we can be like water. We are formless and changing. And I learned a long time ago that the statement "you've changed" is a compliment. Thank you very much. Because if I haven't changed, because there's a saying that running water never grows stale. Illness is dis-ease. There is a blockage within your body. There is a stagnation within your body that causes the illness. And like one of the things I learned, it was very much talked about in Daoism anyway, about the sacred child, about to fidget, to twist and turn and fidget. And then I learned, like 10 years ago, there was a case study that actually showed that fidgeting is actually a natural process of the body to release toxins and tension from the body. So actually telling your child to sit still and not to move and don't fidget is actually not good.
It's hindering them.
Which is when you look at things like we now, emotional stagnation, PTSD or depression, and it's like because your energy's got stagnant, you've got into a rut, and you're like doing the thing that you love all the time is awesome, but you should do other things too. You should allow yourself to grow and expand, because otherwise you may get into a rut, or you get, then people who don't move so much, the body will reward you with that by creating illness. If you move, it will reward you in another way. And I say reward because there is actually no good or bad. So illness is just a teacher. It's telling you there's something wrong. So go and do something about it. And if you're healthy, you're doing something right. Keep doing that. And that's what we need to learn, is that, for me, there is no good or bad. There just is. And the interesting thing, in 20, 30 years of me saying that 20 years ago, me saying that, I was literally getting abuse on Facebook and or where I was, because how can you, what about this and what about that? And it's like, yeah, but through meditation, one of the things I learned through meditation is that when you go back and you look at the worst thing that ever happened to you, it led you to something else, and it made you stronger. All those things, like when somebody says, "Oh, I've been through this and I've been through that, and I had a plane crash on my house, and my daughter turned into a turnip," and it's like, but how many things have happened from that? How much have you learned from that? How much is there progressed from that? You from all your downs, there's always an up.
Yes, that is true.
Everything is a learning tool. I love that in a typical Sifu thing. I love when people say, "Oh, it's a failure," or "That's failed." It's like, you don't fail until you're dead. And technically, I believe in reincarnation. So even when you die, you relive, and you start all over again. So there is you never fail. You only fail when you're no longer here. So that means that you may have stopped at something and you're at a certain thing, but until you give up, until you're no longer here, there's always a chance you can you can improve on that and change on that.
That's true.
And I've learned, one of my oldest students was 96 years old. And it was one of my other students' father, and his wife died. And he couldn't walk anymore, and he very much had given up. He'd lost the woman he loved, and he just didn't see the point anymore. And he came to the classes, and we started from sitting down. We started doing qigong, and we started trying to introduce play and fun, because that's me. You don't want play and fun, don't come to my lessons. Don't come and learn. Don't come and have a healing session with me. Because there'll be play and fun, or me acting silly. And we made it fun. We started to play, and at 100 he would start walking again. And he got stronger. And he died at 106. He passed away at 106, and his daughter was absolutely convinced that he had that extra 10 years because he was like, "Oh, because of you." It's no, it's not me. He did that because he found something worth continuing for, and that's the point. I always say that I love Tai Chi and I love Qigong and I love the things I do, but find your thing. That because there's more than one way to skin a cat or a banana. There are so many different ways to do. I'm not a person that's going to say you have to do it this way. It's this way or the highway. It's anyways to the highway. There's many roads lead to your Nirvana, to your heaven, to your whatever. You've got to find as a Daoist, the Tao is a balanced path, but it's not scales, it's not stagnation, it's more like a wave.
Yes.
And that wave constantly flows and moves. And so the goal is and what's balanced right now might not be balanced tomorrow or next week or next month. So it's a constant moving thing that you have to adapt. But I always say it's like about like meditation. Meditation, sitting there going, it's like, no, it's not. I love annoying my friends who go fishing and say, "Are you meditating?" "I don't meditate." "Yes, you do. You fish. You meditate." Because you're focusing on one thing, and it makes you feel better and you feel less stressed. So fishing, swimming, walking, running, needlecraft, tiddlywinks, anything that you focus on and you focus on and you forget everything else, that's a meditation. So meditation, don't confine it in a box. Don't try to, it is whatever you, and same with Qigong, same with, you look at animals. They wake up in the morning, like cats and dogs especially, wake up, they stretch, they're doing their yoga.
Yes.
They sit there at some point staring into space, they do their meditation. They run, however old they are, they at some point they run around like a lunatic or like a puppy again. That's their Qigong. They have found their versions of the things they need. I'm very much into a little bit of stretching or yoga or Pilates or Neigong. So I always say if yoga and Qigong or Tai Chi had a baby, it'd be Neigong. So it's a version of stretching, and a little bit of meditation, or like Shen Gong, it's the same sort of thing, and a little bit of Qigong or Tai Chi. Those three are like the masculine, the feminine, and the sacred child. They all balance your energy, and they bring things to harmony. And that's what you just got to find your balance, not mine, not anybody else's, your one. But hey, what do I know?
No, of course, no, that makes sense to me. That makes more sense than ever. See, this is the thing I want to get into, because you do so many things which we spoke about even before we started the show. And being a mentor, a healing practitioner, why did you decide that this was for you? Because the way I see it, like you said, there are so many different journeys or pathways that we as beings, I don't always say human beings, I just say beings, because for me that resonates a lot more. We as beings find our own path and what we like to do, like you said. But what attracted you to be able to say, this is what I want to do, and why did you want to do
it? For me, I love learning different. But for me, I love learning different things, but also I see the patterns in things that people don't see a pattern.
That's true. I see. I get that.
I loved ice skating. I don't do it as much as I used to, but absolutely love ice skating. But one of the things I say about ice skating is one of the most psychological things you could ever do, and people go, "What?" And it's like, because you're on these, especially ice skating, you're on these two pieces of metal on the ice, which you've got to balance on.
Yes.
Now, firstly, and epigenetics teaches what happens emotionally affects you physically and psychologically or spiritually. So balancing on this is not just a physical thing, it's a metaphorical thing. It's an emotional and spiritual thing. You're balancing on keeping yourself on an edge, but keeping yourself going. With ice skating, if you're tense and scared, that affects the way you move on the ice, and you'll become wobblier and stiffer. And when you fall over, being scared and frightened, you tense, and it actually hurts more. When you relax, it hurts less. So ice skating is a psychological thing, because the fact that it teaches you that when you're scared of the environment, i.e. the world, the ice, then the ice reacts to it. The world will react to your fear. You'll see things to be more scared, because ironically, the universe gives you exactly what you want. Because if you're acting fearful, you want to be scared. Okay, here's more scary things. When you're going with the flow, and this is awesome, this is wonderful, and you focus on what you do want, the universe will comply and give you more of that. So for me, skating taught me is that the ice is just like the world. It reacts in a certain way, and it does things in a certain way. It also taught me the world that in ice skating, the ice, people have to control things, and they set up rules and regulations. And if the ice skating world was the real world, then I'd be a number one terrorist. Because I always broke the rules. I learnt figure skating, I learnt ice hockey, I learnt speed skating, because I love learning lots of different things, because
Yes.
everything's connected to everything else. And so my name's a Boggie. Boggie means the balancer between the chaos, the 10,000 different things, and the calmness, bringing them down to one. My teachers literally taught me that I will learn 10,000 techniques so I can teach people free. So, so I learn all these different techniques so I can look at somebody and go, oh, let's try this. And as I said to you off air, it's like, I find the one that you like, and then we follow that path and we go on that path, because there's all these different techniques, there's all these different exercises, and it's like, yeah, which one's your one? Because they're not all your one, but which one's your one? But I am a sort of person that's likes all those loads, because that way I can help people find the ones they need. And so for me, the journey, yeah, I used to be close protection, and in close protection, I learned that in the FT 100 to 500 index businesses, so the millionaire and billionaire businesses, they and this is absolutely true. They are like Harry Potter. It is that behind closed doors, they believe in magic. They believe in curses and blessings. They believe in the things that outwardly, that's nonsense, that's rubbish, don't believe in that. They believe in it because, so like, for example, so like Tai Chi and Qigong, a lot of the millionaires and billionaires have been doing it since the 70s, because it helps people relax. Relaxed people are more productive, and therefore also they're more healthier, therefore they're less time off ill, and therefore they make me more money. So why would I not let them do half an hour every day of Tai Chi and teach them? And in China and Japan, that's what they do. They pay for, you come to work, and your first half an hour you're doing some form of Tai Chi and Qigong, because it makes their money and it helps them productive. Well, that's one side of it. Another side is that Tai Chi and Qigong actually enhances your psychic abilities and actually enhances. And millionaires and billionaires, they believe in there's actually, I always forget who it was. I think it was possibly a Rockefeller, but it could have been another billionaire. But they said that millionaires don't believe in astrology, billionaires do. And because, from astrology, from understanding, like psychic abilities, they believe in all that stuff. When you go to Hong Kong, you see buildings like millionaire, billionaire buildings with a ruddy great hole in the centre of the building.
Yes.
So, think of like 20-story buildings, 40-story. There's a big freaking hole in the centre. It's like, why is there a hole in the centre of the building? That's for the dragon to go through. Sorry, what? Dragons exist. And there's even documents from certain agencies, CIA, FBI, that actually state that they have already found other dimensions, and other dimensions are where dragons, fairies, unicorns, Bigfoot exist. And in certain parts of the world, they can come in and out of those dimensions. And in Hong Kong and China, they very much believe that a dragon going through your building gives you great fortune, increases your energy. And so like these millionaires and billionaires are doing stuff like that. They use feng shui, or feng shui, as some people call it, which is all about, it's basically acupuncture for your building. And so, it is like, for them, and I've had this conversation with many, many like entrepreneurs. It says, like, if eating a banana upside down on a Tuesday makes me £1 million, I don't care how silly it is, I'll do it. So, it is, so if it works for them, so you get, so this is the thing, is that there's a reality, there's a, in that world, they do things that we would think are weird or strange, or we've got used to, like newspapers. Oh, don't believe in that. That's rubbish. They believe in it. They do it behind closed doors, but they believe in it. So what you see is always different. There's always a different perspective. Is like the whole thing. There's a saying that always remember, a friend of mine used to say, that is that a perceived problem is a real problem. And this is what phobias are. Somebody's scared of spiders, is that it's become real for them. That and so you could say, oh, that's nonsense, but yeah, maybe not for you, but it's not for them. It's that they created that thing that's real, and it's the big thing of you. You are the creator of your own reality. Doesn't matter, whatever you believe in, God, goddess, banana, whatever. But you are the creator in your own body. You are God. You are the goddess. You are the creator. You can give yourself a great day. You can give yourself a shite day.
Yes.
How you think and feel affects your personal reality. And we literally know, not only is that in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, but it's also in epigenetics. And epigenetics is the whole understanding that the way you think and feel literally affects your physical health. And one of the founders of epigenetics, Joe Dispenza, literally, like Bruce Lee, broke his back. They was told he'd never walk again, and he said, "We're allowed to swear on the show. Bollocks to that." And he fixed it. He fixed his own back. He worked, because he was a chiropractor. He knew about the spine, and he actually draw his imagination into the spine, and he worked through it. And he fixed his own back. But I also know that back in the 70s, there were doctors. Star Wars was a big thing. So in the 70s, Star Wars was a big thing, and they had children with terminal cancer.
Yes.
And they wanted to try to make them feel better. So they got them to do this imagination where they said, imagine your body is like the universe of Star Wars, and cancer is Darth Vader. It's the Sith. It's the dark side of the Force. And imagine that that inside your body, your cells are the Jedi, and get them to fight Darth Vader. And what happened blew them away, because they just thought they were giving the kids something great to feel, and they just thought it was going to make them feel better.
Yeah.
90% of those children put their cancer into remission, and they were supposed to be terminal children. The 10% was left. They extended their lives quite a bit, at least by a few years to 10, 15 years. So the whole idea of the way you think and feel changes your physical body was, for me, proved back then. And epigenetics wasn't, that was the seedlings of it, that people were literally using something like Star Wars and using it to actually, you recreate. And for me, that's even more ironic, because Star Wars is actually based on Taoism and based on the light and the dark and the internal battle and the external, that what you create in here reflects out there.
Yes, that's true.
So if you think, oh, everything's shit, then it will be. If you think everything's awesome, it will be. Obviously, there's always a play of yin and yang, so it's not going to be awesome all the time, or it's not going to be shit all the time. But the whole idea is that you grow what you flow to. What you focus on grows, so focus on that.
I like that. See, these are the things I like to listen to. See, I can just sit here and listen to you for a long time.
I can talk the hind legs off a donkey and then persuade it to go for a walk afterwards.
That's good enough for me. So one of the things I do want to talk about, I know we just spoke about how we think and how we feel, but one of the things that a lot of us have to deal with in life is judgment. And like you said, even before we came on and we started recording, is that a person or people in the world will judge you based upon how you look before you even open up your mouth to have a conversation with them. Be like, oh, they sound like this. Oh, they speak like this. Oh, they know this. So if I said to you to take the word judgment out of the dictionary and there was no such thing as judgment, from your perspective, what would you have done differently, or what would you do differently knowing that judgment did not exist?
Well, for me, probably because it does exist, I actually learn for it not to matter.
I like that answer.
Because in like Taoism, like there is no good or bad, just it. So and when like you get people, don't judge a book by its cover. Well, what does it matter about the book, and what does it matter about the cover or the insides? It's what it's. There's so much more than that. There's so much more. But when people judge because they're at a certain perspective in life, with a certain reality. But when you can get them to a point where you can see, right, so you've been, you see things like this, but what about this perspective? What about this side? The grass is green on the other side. Well, just show them both sides, because the fence is probably better than both sides. Is that, or take away the fence and then there is no other side. When you take away that judgment, you're changing perspective. So I think more actually judgment is a tool. It's a teacher. It's a Sifu. Is that people start off judging, because at one stage you didn't judge. Like one stage when you was a kid, you didn't care what color somebody was, whether they're male or female. You would But I know loads of children who would happily whether they're male or female play with dollies, and then there was other people that you mustn't do that, you mustn't do that. And it continues, because when you was a kid, most kids I know talked to things that other people couldn't see, imaginary things. And then we were told, don't tell people you talk to things that aren't there, because they will say you're crazy, which is an interesting concept, because of the fact back in the 90s, they were actually doing tests. There's a millionaire that wanted to prove psychic ability was in the pineal gland, the third eye. They actually know there's an optical nerve that goes from the pineal gland to the optical side of the brain, and that is the first eye. It's like when but they also know that when through fetuses and whatnot, the first thing to actually be created is the pineal gland, a tiny, tiny little eye, and then the other two form. So that's not the third eye; that's the first eye. Yep. But they learnt it's real, and it actually sees infrared and ultraviolet. And Qigong practitioners, yoga practitioners, meditation, we can see other things. We see other realities. We can see that other stuff. And they were really interested in that, and they wanted to do a case study on it. So they were putting us in MRI scans and testing us on this. What they wasn't expecting was you always have a zero group, a group like, so we were the Qigong practitioners, so we knew that we could, see this stuff. They got the everyday Joe blogs who never heard of this, never. Yes. And they put them in the same, into the MRI scan, and they flashed infrared and ultraviolet. What freaked out the testers and the doctors was that both the Qigong practitioners, the meditation, the yogis, they saw the infrared and ultraviolet, but so did the people, the Joe Blogs. The difference was you could see on the MRI scan that they were picking up the information of the infrared and ultraviolet, but it was not getting stored in the short-term or long-term memory. And what they worked out was that we'd got retaught or taught that you're not, not to, that you are seeing things, and it's this, this is what you're seeing. Where the average Joe Blogs was told when they're little, you tell people you see things and you'll be mad. So they created a judgment They created judgments on a certain thing that exists, and then through Qigong and through, we learn to take that judgment away. But by taking that judgment away, we actually learn more perspective and more
Yes.
understanding. But if we hadn't had that judgment, we would have taken things for granted, but we wouldn't have expanded as much. So the
Yes.
things that happen to you happen to help you grow more. So even judgment, even judging things is a perspective that eventually, when you remove, you can actually expand and you can see so much more. But if it hadn't have been there, your understanding of things would be different to what it is now. Hey, what do I know?
You always say that at the end. I knew you said that even before we were going to do this.
Because it's a Daoist, it's a sort of a Daoist joke. It's like, never take yourself or anybody else too seriously. And
Yes.
it's like the whole monkey. Oh, I know everything. I'm so wise. By reminding myself, hey, what do I know? It's always keeping myself back in the flow, back in the balance. Because I know lots of stuff, but there's always more to learn. There's always more to understand. And is that the biggest thing I've always found is when people think they know so much, then they start knowing so little. Because
That's true.
oh yes, I know this, and I know this, and oh yes, I know, and it's like, do you? Do you really? Because you should always be the student. Yeah, I'm the Sifu, but I learn from my students, and I'm always learning, I'm always growing. I find it quite funny. Some people say, oh, you should go and learn more things. I'm learning all the freaking time. What are you talking about? I'm always learning something new. It's like, it's my default, for goodness sake.
See, this is the thing. So if someone is listening to this podcast, and I know there's so many things that they can take away with them today from listening to what you said, what you have taught in your life, where you've come from, who you are, the things that you've gone through as a person, what you believe in spiritually, how your mind works differently from other people's. And one of the things that I resonated with is the dyslexia. I'm dyslexic too, and I know that people see us in a different spectrum. Especially when you have a creative mind. Creative people anyways, people see differently. Like we're not into the finance side or whatever it might be. Our minds work completely differently, and for me, I think that's a beautiful thing. But to other people, they might see it as a hindrance or something different. I think that, like your belt, you told me about your belt.
Yeah.
I would have one of those in multiple colors. So I would have one of those in multiple colors, or I would just make one belt in a rainbow.
Yeah.
That would.
See, again, going back to the FT 500 index businesses. So, OCD, ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia.
Yes.
I all of those, I have known businesses that employ because you're that.
See, those are
And
cool companies.
it was the Virgin guy, Richard Branson. Richard Branson was actually told off in the late 80s for
Yes.
only employing dyslexic people. So you can't judge like that. You can't. It's like, but you can, you can say, oh, I can only people with A levels or only people with this. Why can't I do that? Because and that's the difference in these worlds. They see so ADHD. If you get 20, you can deal. Your head's all over the place. 20 things at once. There are jobs where you need to be like that. There are jobs where they've got so many things going on. You will actually find that at least 60% of air traffic control have mild to major ADHD, because they've got to look after 15, 20, 30, 40 freaking planes all at once. They know their speed, the speed that line's going to end up here. They've got to be working through their heads all these calculations and all this thing. Now, what they found, the normal person, it drove them to stress. They ended up being freaking ill, wanting to commit suicide because it's just too much pressure. Somebody with ADHD, that's like a walk into the freaking park on a Sunday afternoon with an ice cream in the hand and a hot dog in the other. It's freaking. They love it. They love it. And there's even recently, well, about 2 years ago, there was a teacher that was telling me that they actually had some autistic kids, and they went to like a farm, like it was a chicken farm, and they were saying, "Do you have a job?" That these guys, like, they love organization, they love focus. And this farmer said, "Well, okay, the most boring job here is checking quality of eggs. We'll give them that." And then a month later, in a typical farmer sort of way, he goes, "You got any more? You got any more people like that?" I said, "Pardon?" He said, "Got any more?" He said, the guy loves it so much, he gets upset when we make him go for a break. He's almost crying because he loves looking for the quality of the eggs, and that's the whole thing. These disadvantages are not disadvantages; they're superpowers, they're skills, and it's the society we're in that wants you, for whatever reason, to go, "Oh, that's a disadvantage. You're at a disadvantage." Well, I know one of the reasons why, because pharmaceutical companies make a lot of money, not for making you better. They make money from maintaining your illness.
Hey, there you go.
And that's a big thing, and as kids. So as a kid, I had this belief that, like, growing up, I thought banks were like a library. I thought they're there to help people, and then I did a thing called office practice when I was about 15, and then suddenly went, "Hold up, they're there to freaking make money off of you. What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And
They
then
invest
starting
your money.
from there, I suddenly realised, like, the problem with we live in a society where money is the key, and we live in a society where you make money and you earn and you get more progress that way. So when you have things that involve money, then you have issues, because then things, like, there's a secret thing. Like when I was doing like Tai Chi in residential homes from the 80s onwards, I was speaking to these guys who used to be engineers in computer companies and TV companies and Hoover companies, and they used to tell me that they had secret meetings. The top engineers had secret meetings about making the products only last 2 years, and they would purposely make things to break. And like that's an urban myth, and it's like, yeah, but have you ever noticed that most of your stuff in your house only lasts a couple of years, and then it breaks, and you've got to buy it again? Why? Well, they don't make money from you if it lasts forever, do they? They only make money from you if you need to maintain it or fix it or get a new one. And and if we do that with the stuff in our house, that's one thing. But we do that with our own bodies, with medical, is that there is a lot of things that they maintain your illness, not your health. They maintain your illness because they can make money off of you that way. And that leads to many, conspiracy theory. Funny, that word, conspiracy theory, was actually created by the CIA to actually be able to put people in a certain box that they don't want other people to listen to. So conspiracy theory, oh, you're mad, you're a conspiracy theorist. You look into conspiracy theories, 90% of conspiracy theories that go some time have already been proven to be true. So it's just a word to put you off an idea or a concept. But the whole idea is that, like, there or have been lots of cures for many different things. Or cure is an interesting word, because like, if you stop doing something that's making you ill, you're cured. But if you start doing it again, you'll get ill again. So don't freaking do it, and it won't make you ill. So cure is a bit of an oxymoron because of the fact that, well, if you change what made you ill, you can get better. But you have to then do the thing that makes you better and not the thing that makes you ill. Because otherwise then you won't be cured. You'll be back in the place you started. So, hey, what do I know? So, it's the whole point is that, it's the society we live in is maintained and works in a certain way. And you've got to take a step out of the matrix. You've got to see the bigger picture. And the biggest thing is that we sort of like, there's nothing I can do. Yes, there fucking is. I will bloody swear now. Yes, the bloody is, because you can do something. You can change things. You're told you can't change things because then you'll stay in your box. You'll stay in your lane. But the most scariest people in the world are the ones that go, no, look outside the box. No, I could do bollocks to this. I could do that differently. I could do something else. That's the ones they're scared of. It's the ones that will go, rather when you're saying this is the only way, the ones that go, actually, no, that's not true. There's other ways. There's lots of ways to skin a cat or a banana. So, and that's the point. That, for me, that's the point, is to be able to see things in a different way, change, allow yourself to change. There is no good or bad, just is. But hey,
I think, you know what? That's a beautiful way to end the podcast as well, because you're allowing people to have their own mindset, their own perspective, their own thoughts of how they want to do things and be who they are. But I would like to ask you, if people would like to know more about you, find out who you are, find out exactly what you do, why you do it, the reason why you are the person that you are, where can they find you?
Everywhere. You can find me on YouTube, on TikTok, on Facebook, as Sifu Boggie. My website is will be in the links below as well, but shindao.uscreen.io, and that's sort of like my mystery school. That's like, there's lots of things that you can learn in there, and that's all, and have fun and expand. And then I also do a thing called Orgonite, which is a mixture of crystal, resin, and art. And allegedly, it helps reduce radiation from the phone and from the Wi-Fi. But also it looks pretty. And it's got crystals in it. And who doesn't want a crystal? So I also do that as well. And that's under the Crystal Chef. Because, the whole idea of have many skills and have many ways to help people. I just actually and that will heal you and help you grow. And, the whole idea of, just get out your own way and all as well.
See, I like that. I have loads of them. I even have them on my electricity meters.
All my pieces are unique. That's the whole, but just like me, they're all pretty much one-offs. But also, then I can also, to a degree, like you, I can give you. So, what would you like in your Orgonite?
Exactly.
I can bring those things together. And because there's a couple I've got where you've got an old broken watch in there, because. It always reminds me of the metaphor my nan, my adopted nan, who was also Irish, used to say an Irish saying that a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yes, that's very true.
And that means that sooner or later you're right.
Exactly. I like that. See? Wise woman. See, I love this. So this is where I would like to say to you, thank you so much for taking your time. Right back at you, for coming on the Yes People podcast, for showing your authenticity, for being yourself, and just being open and free with your words, who you are, where you come from, like I said, and continue to always be that way. I know I don't even need to say it to you. I know I don't, but I want you to always continue to be the way you are, because the person that you are will help millions, maybe even more, to be quite fair. So from me to you, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the Us People podcast. I appreciate you, and I'm sending you nothing but flowing positivity.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You are so welcome. And guys, I want to thank you so much for listening to the Yes People podcast. And please remember, you can subscribe and listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, or any other platform that you prefer listening to. Please also listen to us every Tuesday as we put out a pre-recorded version of the Us People podcast for you to listen to. You can also go on the official Us People podcast website, or just drop by the Savia Rocks website, and all the information will be there too. And the most important part is, guys, thank you so much for listening. Stay happy, stay positive, and as always from me to you, please continue to be kind to one another. Take care.
Has made me want to validate me from my illusion that awaits me, from how the people will perceive me. It's my illusion that awaits me. We fight our war with ourselves. Our mental health is silencing us from our heart. Social media is taking our time from connecting with each other. Why we dance on TikTok? Strike a post on Instagram. Fight the web on a Twitter feed. Link a thing on Snapchat. Why we dance on TikTok? Strike a post on Instagram. Fight the web on a Twitter feed.
Because it's just journey. It's just journey. You're just travelling through. You're just passing on, and this place is a little bit more interesting because there's a little bit of opposites here, and we forget we it's I remember, because I've learned, or I know that I've gone through training in the past. I've done this more than once, and the past ones allow me to remember, where a lot of people forget. But it's and so when you click with somebody, or you go, yeah, we've been around, and it's not just once, we've been around a few times together.
Why we dance on TikTok? Strike a post on Instagram. Fight the web on a Twitter feed. Link a thing on Snapchat. Why we dance on TikTok? 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 It's taking our time. Why we dance on TikTok? With each other soul to soul. Why we dance on TikTok? Strike a post on Instagram. Fight the web on a Twitter feed. Link a thing on Snapchat. Why we dance on TikTok?